And we're live. Okay, so hi everyone. My name, as always, is Cheyenne Severin, and welcome to Sunday Speaks. Today we have with us.
José Gonzalez. How's everybody doing?
There you go. So, Jose, today, we're going to talk about your story and everything, and not to skip ahead to where you are today, but do you want to just talk about where you work a little bit first?
Sure. I work at a substance abuse behavioral health facility. It's called Cura. I work out of the North Residential Office. We also have an office in Sea Caucus. Right now, I'm studying for my CADC, which is a certified drug and alcohol and drug counselor. And I'm still in school, and I'm moving forward with my career.
Okay, so knowing that, do you want to go back to how all of this started, just your story and everything?
Sure. So, my story is almost like everyone else's story who's in recovery. I started off at a young age, smoking marijuana, drinking, having fun. And it slowly progressed to where I became desperate for recovery. I've been in and out of treatment facilities since the age of 15. Um, I've been to multiple facilities where I just didn't accept the fact that I was an addict. I didn't identify as an addict because I always thought an addict was just a person out there on the streets, sitting on a porch or in front of a liquor store. And until I became that person, you know, um, my life had become unmanageable. And, that's where it brought me to my career today because I feel like I can reach out and help people who are still suffering from addiction. That's the base of my story.
Okay, so you said that you started smoking marijuana at a young age. Do you remember what age that was, or like what grade?
Yeah, I was actually about 15 years old when sorry, earlier than that. I was about 12 years old when I first started smoking marijuana. So maybe the fourth, fifth grade.
Oh wow, how did you get introduced to it that young?
At that time, because of where I live at in North Jersey, it was readily available. Like, people used to bring it to school or, the kids that I used to hang out with or play basketball with, they used to smoke also. So, they were older than me. I always hung around an older crowd and they were the ones who introduced me.
hmm Was it the same thing with the alcohol then?
Yeah, the alcohol came just along with the smoke and marijuana. We used to sit there and drink, what was it? Mac Dog 2020 or something like that. The cheapest alcohol that they were able to get, and that's what we used to do.
So you used to sit outside of the liquor stores and everything?
Well, I got to that point. At first, it was going to house parties and just having fun, and you know, um, that's what I thought was fun was. But it got to the point where I was intoxicated every single day. Like I couldn't go a day without smoking, or I couldn't go, a weekend without drinking and partying, and you know, that's what my life was, and I didn't know nothing else. At that time, I was also involved with selling drugs and involved with gangs.
So how did? Because I don't know if I've heard that yet from anyone that I've interviewed where they got into actually selling drugs to other people with substance misuse disorders. How did that happen?
Again, just hanging around the wrong crowd. I gravitated towards people who were out there in the streets because I was never home. And it wasn't that I didn't have a good parent because I had a good mother at home. She worked a lot, and but she thought I was a good kid. She thought I was responsible, and I played that role when I was home. But when I was outside, it was something different. So I was pretty good at hiding.
Um, okay. You I don't know if this is too personal of a question, but your relationship with your mother, did she ever find out about anything that you were doing eventually?
I mean, as I got older, she kind of starting to notice certain things, but at that time I had already moved out the house. So, I moved out the house around the age 16. And she noticed that I was buying clothes that I couldn't afford without a job, and just things like that. Buying myself cell phones every 2 weeks. Um, so when she noticed that, she kind of assumed that I was out there selling drugs, and then I got arrested. So that was a definite, for her to know that I was out there.
So you moved out of the house at 16?
Yeah. Um, I just basically just stopped going home and started staying at friend's house. And, I had already tested out of high school by then, so I didn't have any other responsibilities. So, my mom did ask me to come back home and stay home because she didn't want me to get in trouble. But at home, I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. So I would pop up here and there during the week, but mostly I was staying with friends.
Yeah. So you were buying cell phones every 2 weeks. Was that like burner phones for? Yeah.
Yeah, at that time there were burner phones. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what that was.
Yeah, my father is into some, illicit activities, so he used to have a burner phone or two around. So yeah. Was it ever like difficult to manage the kind of double life that you were having in some spots, or?
I mean, not really, because I was fully involved with the streets.
Mm,
So it was like that was just my life. It wasn't anything else. Um, Around the age of 17, I actually started working at a bar. They thought I was 21 there. I had a fake ID at the time. And I worked there for about 15 years, to like about 17 to about the age of 27 was the last time I went to that bar. But yeah, so I worked at that bar a pretty long time, and that's where I did most of my drug deals at, and in other places around where I live at. So
did they know that you were dealing drugs and they just didn't care, or was it just?
they assumed, but I was I mean they assumed. I'm pretty sure they were they knew, but they just never told me anything.
Yeah. So how difficult was it for you to get a fake ID?
It wasn't difficult at all at the time. Anyway, it wasn't difficult. Now, uh, I'm assuming that it's really hard to get an ID with all the things that are going on. So,
Okay. So yeah, okay. So you were able to do that. You got arrested. What did you end up getting arrested for?
actually, when I was about 16 years old, my house got raided by the sheriff's department. Sold to an undercover cop. So that was the first time, and that didn't deter me from continuing that lifestyle. Uh, was on probation, and I actually ran for probation, and they sent me to a program. When they caught me, they sent me to a program, and I ran from that program. And that was just my lifestyle, running back and forth from programs, being on the run as a juvenile. And then the same thing when I got older. They terminated my juvenile probation. Then I got caught again with, assault to another undercover cop, and I was placed on probation once more. And I took that on the run, and that was just the lifestyle.
So what was finally the point, or like how bad do you think did it get? Like what was your worst point? At what point were you like, this has to change?
Um, it was sorry. I started at the bar at in 2007. I made a mistake. I went into recovery in 2017. Um, I got to a real low point in my life where you know, I would say I didn't use drugs. Drugs used me because it used me to be a person that I was never meant to be. I let go of all my values, my principles, and it got to the point one day where I was highly under the influence, and I just couldn't picture myself on why and how I got to the point where I got to, and became desperate to get out of that lifestyle. So the next day, I walked over to a program, and I tried to be admitted, and they wouldn't let me in because they said they didn't have beds available. I sat there for 3 hours. It was raining outside. It was cold outside, and I sat there until somebody finally opened the door, and they let me in. And I did 28 days there, and I've been clean ever since.
Oh, wow. So is that what got you inspired to work in the substance misuse field?
Well, that it definitely has a part to it. When I was about 18 years old, I went to a program that actually kind of saved my life. Because my attitude, my perspective in life was I didn't care about anything or anybody. And when I went to that program, they helped me notice some of my behaviors. And although when I left there, I wound up relapsing anyway, but I didn't relapse on my behaviors. I kept noticing my behaviors, and I tried not to offend people because that's who I was before. I just didn't care about life or death. It didn't matter to me. And so it was partly because of that. And then my aunt also, she's a person in recovery, and she is also she's actually a licensed certified counselor. So that kind of inspired me. Like, if she could do it, she could go to school and do this. I can do it too. And another thing, I lost one of my best friends in this in that episode of my life, and it was because he had went to a party without me, and he was overdosing, and someone just left him in his car, and he wound up passing away. And I guess the information wasn't out, the resources and information wasn't out there about the Good Samaritan law, where it wouldn't matter, if you were under the influence or had drugs on you. If you see somebody you see that they're, in a state where they might pass away, or they're in trouble, you should call the cops, call 911, have the ambulance come, and, you wouldn't get in trouble for anything. Like, just call and you could save that person's life. And that wasn't done for my friend, and he passed away. So that was a turning point right there for me. Like, if I don't stop, that's going to be me one day.
What you said 2017, was that your friend passed away in 2017?
Uh, no, he passed away in 2017. Yep.
Was that before the Good Samaritan law was even instated? Like, when was that passed?
Um, no, I don't know for sure, but I believe it was before 2017.
Okay. All right. I'll have to look into that. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. But how are you enjoying substance misuse work? Do you find it fulfilling, or?
It's actually very fulfilling. Like, I've had, before I went into that field, I did a few other jobs because I work construction. Like, I like to do labor, so I like working with my hands. And it didn't fill the void that I needed it to fill. And I kept looking, and I kept switching jobs, like, for a whole 2 years. And then 2020 was when I got the opportunity to work at the place that I'm working at now. And I started on the night shift, actually. And at that time I was going to classes, so it was perfect because I would do all my homework all night and then do 3 classes in the morning, and it was good for me. Then one of the supervisors had needed somebody to stay, to do overtime. So I was willing to do overtime. And then I will run a group. And she noticed me in the way I ran groups. So she put me on the daytime and she encouraged me to continue on this path. So, yeah. And I've seen a lot of success stories come out of the place that I work at. I still have people who reach out to me and let me know that they're doing well. And there's also a lot of stories that went bad, people leaving the program and not having the chance to come back. So
That, yeah, something that I've seen in this field and everything is that you have to get used to, in some cases, very high, what do you call it? When you, relapse rates.
yes, there are a lot of relapse rates. The statistic is that if a person, for a person, most majority of people who are actually sustain recovery and maintain the recovery for more than 5 years, they actually have to go through multiple episodes of treatment before they actually grasp it. And I've seen like some clients where I work at, they've been there 2 or 3 times, and normally, they have to keep on, they get the chance to come back again. And then a couple of years later, I see them and they're actually still in recovery. Again, it's all about acceptance. You see a lot of people come into to treatment and they come in not accepting their role in their addiction and not understanding that addiction is real and it's a disease and it's affecting them and it's affecting the community. So once that's why it's important on the type of information that we give out there and the groups that we run, and continue this effort so that we could have everyone informed, the community informed on what's really going on out there.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. Yeah. So, do you want to tell me how you met Nancy or found out about alumni in recovery or anything? Like, how did that
Okay.
happen?
So I also do outreach out here, North Jersey, where I work at, and they have a program called opioid response team. So we work in concert with the EMS, the fire department, and the police department. We're out here in the community, right in one of the worst or heavily drug infected areas in the city that I live in, and we're out there passing out resources, talking to people about detox, harm reduction, Suboxones, MAT maintenance, and we're trying to get people into treatment and supply them with these recovery resources. Besides that, we also give out Narcan, and we also give out food sometimes. And the most important thing we do is give out the resources and the information. And I have a friend named Ruby who introduced me to Nancy. And the reason was because I had spoken to Ruby about what my passion is to actually go into the school systems and talk to the adolescents and about about this disease, because that's the age that I started. So, more than likely, most of these kids are out there starting at the same age, and I don't want them to get to the point where they don't realize they have an addiction. And because nobody knows they're an addict until they're an addict, right? So, giving this information out, I think, yeah, I love the fact that I'm here with the alumni and recovery crew. Nancy's a great person. I love going out there to the high schools and talking about my story and talking about the resources that are out there and the effects of substance use. And it's just a passion of mine. So I'm grateful for Nancy. Nancy's a great person.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Jose. we're almost at the 20-minute mark. I think we have one more minute. Do you have any final comments, questions, concerns you want to say just as a closing message before we end off?
Um, just remember that there's resources out there. If you or a family member or a friend is troubled with, substance use, with addiction, there's plenty of resources out there. Just reach out to your communities. Um, there's places on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you just put hashtag addiction or hashtag recovery, you can find a lot of resources. We're out there in the media. So, just don't give up. I've seen a lot of people, especially in college, they get to college and they want to do better, but because their home life is not what they want it to be and they don't have the support there, they wind up dropping out. The same thing in high school. I just want to say that there's support out there, there's resources, just reach out.
Thank you. Have a nice day. I really, as always, have learned a lot talking to you.
You too. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. Bye, Jose.